You wouldn't catch me doing it. But this wild swimming group has 1,000 members. Today, they're taking a dip in the River Nene, or Nene if you prefer, in the Northamptonshire village of Denford.
Yeah.
How's the water?
Great.
Yeah, you sound really convincing. A bit of cold this lot can handle, but how clean is the water? The last time this river was properly tested, a couple of years ago, it was rated as poor. Pollutants from farming and road traffic getting washed into the water by the rain.
If the water is onto the meadows, we actually don't swim. So unless you can actually see a bank and a river, we won't swim.
After a lot of heavy rain, you probably don't want to really be going swimming.
Yeah, I won't swim after probably 2-3 days at least after the heavy rain because of the storm drains overflowing in, which is never nice.
They say the water's better than it was many years ago and the wildlife is doing well. But still, they want to see far more done to clean things up.
I don't think we take it seriously enough now, and I think there is definitely a need for action, because as much as we want to make it safe for the humans that are in here, we also want to make it safe for the animals and the wildlife that feeds in these rivers. And I also think as outdoor swimming increases and becomes more popular, then surely we want to make sure that it's a safe environment for everyone.
In fact, the Environment Agency admits all our rivers, lakes and streams are polluted in some way, with just 16% of them classed as good. So that's the river where the swimmers were, and now I've got the sun's come out. So it's perfect. As well as farms and industry, campaigners are worried about runoff from busy roads. Tiny bits of tyre rubber, metal from brake pads and clutches, and a group of hydrocarbons from emissions that wash off the tarmac and into rivers. Joe Bradley worked at the Environment Agency for 20 years and now works for Stormwater Shepherds, who campaign for cleaner rivers.
We need to do a lot more to tackle pollution from road runoff. To be frank, we're not doing very much at all at the moment. There's nothing consistent across the country and there's no funding mechanism. So we need to introduce a funding mechanism to create some money to allow local authorities and highway authorities to introduce these treatment systems. So we could perhaps put a levy on tyres, so that when you buy a tyre, a little bit of money goes into treatment systems, or we could put a stormwater utility levy alongside your council tax so that we all pay to a pot of money to pay for the treatment. And then the government needs to start enforcing the regulations that control this pollution through the Environment Agency, which isn't happening at all at the moment.
We decided to lab test some of the water these guys swim in, and we'll tell you the results later.
So this is Ditchford Lakes and Meadows. We've got our wildflower-rich hay meadow on the right here.
A few miles away, they're using a natural buffer, a meadow, to protect their waterways. Matt Johnson from Northamptonshire Wildlife Trust says it stops flooding, attracts pollinators, stores carbon and filters out some pollutants before they reach the water.
I think on a small scale, on our nature reserves, it's working very well. On a large scale, we're working at a landscape, like a living landscape level in the Nene Valley, and we're sort of almost in a way waiting for government policy to catch up and to implement those kind of landscape policies and laws on that wider scale, and that will really help get right habitats in the right place.
Now back to the Nene River water samples we had tested by Oakshire Environmental, taken at Denford and another more built-up spot a few miles away. The lab was looking for a number of hydrocarbons from traffic that can potentially damage your health. Conclusions: based on the results of laboratory testing, sampled water is considered to be uncontaminated and contains very low to no concentrations of hydrocarbons. This suggests that the watercourses have not been impacted by the surface runoff of hydrocarbon contaminants. So, two small samples appear hydrocarbon free, but the reality is pollution is common in our rivers, with the government telling us cleaning them up is an urgent priority and saying it's aware there is more work to do across the east.